Here it is. What episode is this? The second.
Yeah.
We had one, but it was 0, wasn't it? Really?
It's technically the third.
Yeah, but no, I'm calling it the second. The second episode of the podcast, Totally Uninformed. Joined by George again. Obviously, we work together. Yeah. Video and photography. I'm a bit better than you, but
you like to think.
And Jack Nev, how are you doing, mate?
I'm good. I'm really happy to be on the show.
Yeah. Last time I saw you, we were working together, weren't we?
We were.
Yeah. Helping out on the art department side of things.
Yeah, that's right. It was Aztec rum, wasn't it?
Yeah. We got a good rum video out of it, didn't we?
Yeah.
It's a big part of it, isn't it? The art department side.
Huge, yeah. Especially with the bigger stuff, I'd say. But obviously, with smaller stuff, you guys have more responsibility, so you're kind of flitting around doing everything, almost like cameras, lights, the set. But art department, it creates the scene, and obviously it helps the camera and director and whatnot do their job. So it's all set up so they can, focus on the subject matter and stuff. But yeah, art department is a huge role. People overlook it a lot.
Yeah, it's interesting because you brought that up when we were on the shoot, because obviously you're used to doing bigger productions.
Yeah.
And you have a set role, but when you came on, you're like, fuck, you're doing everything. Like camera, lighting, like I guess it feels different, does it?
Yeah, it definitely did. Just immediately I noticed the grips department set up the actual stand, and you're just sort of fiddling around with it, like making little adjustments. I see George blowing some water, and that's just like a typical little job that props do. And just seeing you guys just instinctively, obviously doing what you need to do for the camera, and saying, that's kind of what I do, and for you guys are doing everything. And yeah, it's
a lot less organised, isn't it, when you come
well,
on a very production shoot?
I don't know. You guys have so much to do and so much on, and it's all like a creative bubble almost. Yeah. So you're constantly thinking of ideas and then adjusting the technical side as well.
Yeah.
And it's just you two thinking on your feet, but on the bigger stuff,
there's more layers.
Yeah. And the head of departments, like the DOP, director of photography, and the director, can kind of stand away where everyone rushes around to actually set everything up, do all the technical stuff.
Yeah.
But the director of photography and director, they can just like, what can we do here? And speak creatively. And then they bring it onto the floor. This is what we've kind of discussed, and everyone's just listening in, just ready to pounce on what they need to do.
Yeah.
And there's obviously the art director, which can have a good influence, and even the lowly standby props, they can come in with a little thing to help everyone on their way. Or everyone's like scribbling, how can we do this? How can we do that? Should we do it this way? And I'm just thinking, hang on a minute. And we can, there's a little thing they haven't thought of, or just thinking outside the box, and you mention it, and I was like, didn't think of that. Well done. And I'm like, thank you very much.
That's a good feeling.
Yeah. Especially, these guys, I don't know how much they earn and like what they've worked on, and you're there in that moment, and you've influenced that, and that's so cool. Growing up, I'm watching films, watching TV, and you're like, that's so cool. Everyone loves TV, right? But just all of a sudden you're sort of in there working on these programs, and you can do those little things, and you actually watch it for real, and people are just watching the story like, this is cool. And I put up that poster in the back. No, it's gone. It's all missed.
And the credits, obviously, when they come rolling in.
Oh yeah.
Jack Neville.
Always watch the credits.
Yeah.
Yeah, sick. But you guys, you're starting from a point where you need to do everything, and it's incredible because you're learning all the little things, and you'll appreciate it so much more when you guys are big and successful, and you've got separate departments to do everything. You even got runners, and we were there once. We kind of know what that was like, but
it'd be weird.
Appreciate it.
It would be like we've got to that stage doing all of those different roles, but never actually being that role. Because obviously, like you said, like you
sort
said,
of spread across, right?
Yeah, because at the moment we're just doing everything because it just needs to be done, and there's only me, Jake, and Louis. Sometimes Pearsy.
Yeah.
Just like, and we kind of have a vision because we've all looked at the plan and we all know what's going on. We have set roles within that, but if we want to make an adjustment, it's like a quick little back and forth, and then it just gets done by whoever's closest to the closest to the camera.
Because we're not
or the set
outside of the camera work and like the lighting and the art department side of things, because we're not experts, we'll be like, we just want that to have a bit more glow from the light, and then we'll be like, how the fuck do we do that?
Yeah.
And we'll be scrambling around trying to work it out, but we always get there, don't we?
Yeah, definitely.
You say that, I mean, on set, no one really knows what they're doing. Well, they do, but when it's a certain scenario, you can't study for that. Maybe experience will give you the know how to approach something you don't know already. But a lot of the time, you're winging it. You're thinking on your feet. You're looking at what's around you. What can I use to do this? And you could come up with this weird pulley contraption to do something on screen, and it's I say bodge job, but it's just like it could be like a coat hanger and like you've used a weighted shoe or something for a weight, and it's pulling something up, and you just literally just pulling it, and but on screen it looks, whoa, that was happening. Or it's not even noticed. It's just like a window automatically opening or something. And I've forgotten what my point was, but it's like
I think you were saying it's a blag.
That's right. It's you've kind of just got to be ready for anything, and you just use what you can, basically. And you can get experts, you can get people that studied it, but you kind of just learn on the job. And as long as you've got the creativity and the hunger for getting to a certain standard, or you want it to look like a certain way, you'll find the way. Like that's how it is. And that's what you guys are doing now, and that's awesome. But I hear you talk about camera technicals, and that's just a totally different language to me, and it's that sort of blows me off where like on set
sorry. Sorry, I had to pull that.
I didn't even pick up on it.
what does that mean?
No, but it's funny you say that. More recently we're getting more fluent with the way we talk about the camera, and I'll notice that we're talking in tongue almost when some people are involved in the conversation that don't understand, and I need to tone it back a bit.
Yeah, it makes you feel good though when people don't understand. Sometimes I just make things up. I just come up with random numbers.
You take advantage of that scenario.
Yeah. But how did you get into this industry? Talking about hunger, where did your hunger come from?
Well, how I actually got into it was this man right here, George. I got back from traveling in Indonesia and for a month, and I had deferred a place at university, and I was kind of given that year to give other things a chance. George had met this guy in a local pub, right?
Yep.
And you were working for your dad at the time.
Yep.
And so you were sort of looking for a creative outreach, or looking for something different, right? And
Craig, he's already had a plug on the podcast.
Has he?
Yeah, Craig.
But I
suppose the start of it all for me.
And
you as well.
Yeah. But you got on this show. You got on this show, which was filmed in Warwickshire. It's quite a well known, but in Australia and America. But it's like a daytime BBC drama, Shakespeare and Hathaway.
Yeah.
And you were working as an art department runner.
Yeah.
Aren't you? And on these low budget shows, a bit like you guys now, you kind of do more. There's more responsibility for you. So you were doing what a prop hand would do. You'd be doing what a dresser did. You would go to prop stores and pick out stuff. And I when I got back, I heard you were on this. I was like, oh, this is mad. Like with this sort of job, you don't really think it's out there at your grasp. Like it's something you don't even think about could be a possibility of a career. So hearing that you're doing something like that, I was like asking all sorts of questions. But you didn't really know much about the show, right?
I didn't know much about the show, but I think at that stage, I had the interview lined up, didn't I? So I told you all about what I was doing, but then I had the interview for where I'm at now, Raycom.
Yeah, I mean, I heard about it, and then like a week later, you then told me that, oh, you know, I've got this other thing on the horizon which is more suited to me, like to you.
Yeah.
And you were kind enough to think, oh, you know, I'm looking for a job, so do you want to kind of...
I need to find someone to cover for me.
Yeah.
Because Craig had obviously gone out his way to get me the job, and in the middle of a production, it's not the best thing to do is to leave production.
No.
It's probably the worst thing you can do is to say, oh, well, I've got to leave, and that they're basically losing someone from the team, and they haven't got subs on the side of the pitch. It's like,
it's because it's who you know, because they need reliable people. They just want someone quickly, so it's like they ask around, oh, do you know someone? Do you know someone? Because they just want someone straight away. They
someone with a driver's license, someone that's quite handy.
Time is money.
Yeah. And I was Well, I asked Jack whether he would want to do it, and you jumped on it, didn't you?
Absolutely.
Did you have you had a little interview, and then
so what it was, I don't. Did you give me a number or so?
Helen's number probably, or Kevin, sorry.
Kev, yeah. I think Helen called me, or I called Helen, and I said, you know, I'm George's friend. He's leaving soon. I'm more than happy to come along, and you know, I'm really enthusiastic. Blah blah blah. She said, yeah, come see me Monday. So I go into the office. It's a temporary office in Stratford, and I think I first see Kev, or it's just a bit awkward. No one's sort of answering. I come into this office. I'm like, oh my god, I'm so new to this. Like,
literally no idea what to expect.
Yeah, and everyone's sort of busy doing their thing, which now I totally understand because they're hot on it. It's in the middle of the series, and all it's like full throttle,
absolute chaos.
Yeah, and you kind of bustled into this office, and Helen's there. All these mood boards on there. Oh, it's you, right? Okay, so do you know the show? Have you all watched it? What's your experience? I'm like, and luckily I had watched like an episode or two, so I went full on survival mode. Went fanboy thing. Oh, you know, I love the show, and I know this person is. And she's like, okay, great, but I think she asked me a couple of questions, and I was honest, but she saw I was really enthusiastic, and she's like, oh yeah, great, okay. It wasn't even a question of have you got it. She was like, okay, this is what you're doing tomorrow, or Kev's gonna show the prop store to you now. I'm like, oh, all right, yeah, great. So the rest of the day, I went to the prop house in Flabberry, which is literally just down the road from where I was living, and that was it. You know, I was in, and I thought it was amazing. Like, how am I going to get involved in this further? And yeah, like, everyone was so much fun.
How long ago was that?
It was before the COVID.
Really? So it has been a couple of years.
Yeah.
But since then, like, your progress has been pretty rapid.
I've been lucky in the sense that I've met some great people. On Shakespeare and Hathaway, I met Rachel, and she put me in touch when COVID was sort of dying down. That it was like after the second lockdown or first lockdown. I got like on a Gymshark commercial. She hooked me up with, and I worked on that with her. Then she then put me through to another art director called Kat, and I was worked on a few things with her. And then one thing led to another, and Paul, the prop master, puts me onto this Netflix thing in London, and lo and behold, I'm with the big guns who've worked on
like two job, literally
Fast and Furious and Peter Rabbit and stuff, and Marvel, and it's like, oh my god, what's going on? And you know, I felt out my depth, but I kind of got through it, and I learned a lot, and I've kind of asked for feedback from people, and they said they like me and stuff, so who knows what happens next. But it was a bit of a roller coaster. There was a bit of a lull, obviously, with COVID, where I was offered Father Brown, the other sort of program, this production company that did Shakespeare and Hathaway. Is just another BBC daytime drama, and
local, isn't it?
Local, yeah. And that got postponed because of COVID. So I was, I don't know what I'm doing. Then I worked for Amazon, which is an absolute. It's chaos being on the road with Amazon. It's mad.
Were you a delivery driver?
Delivery driver for Amazon, yeah. That was my lockdown job. and it felt like I was in a Western, because it was like ghost towns. I was in Stourbridge and Bromsgrove, sometimes Birmingham. And
surely the busiest time to be a delivery driver.
Well, yeah, that was the boom.
Nobody could leave the house.
Yeah, exactly. That was the boom, and you're getting like 150 deliveries on your app, and obviously you pick it up at the depot or van for the parcels, and you can do it in your own time, but everyone's sort of really competitive. Everyone wants to sort of finish early, which drives up the expected time of deliveries per delivery, so that you get more. They think you can deliver more parcels, and it's you know why people don't like Amazon when they deliver to you, like flinging parcels over the fences. And I mean, I didn't do that, but you hear stories. I'm just saying, you hear stories, but I can understand why. And I'm not doing that again. Like I've done.
Throwing the parcels, or
I never did that. Don't quote me on that.
Knock it all run.
I'm not delivering for Amazon again, or any sort of thing like that, because they expect so much of you, and it's just dangerous driving on those roads when you've got that time pressure. And you know, I've passed a couple of tests recently for like lorry and motorcycle, and I've learnt the way of the road, and you really got to be safe out there if you want to sort of take it seriously and stuff. Well, that's how I've been taught now, but yeah,
those courses will have drilled that into you, I suppose.
That's what they do.
Yeah, the HGV one especially. Like,
the
health and safety that you have to go through.
It's crazy. Like
we've got a lot in common. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, well, it's a good thing, you know. It's especially with when you've got contracts, you've got a series that you've just finished, and you don't know when the next thing is, and that's why I started to do it. Started to train for it. Let's see if it pans out. It probably will. But yeah, it's the sheer weight of what you're driving with an LGV. But yeah, I mean, it's not the most interesting at all. But yeah, it's pretty dangerous. But you do.
We've drifted like through like 3 topics there. Yeah, big time.
But,
it's good though.
But yeah, well, one of my goals is, if you want to go into sort of people's goals and everything, is to master as many transport as possible, land, sea, and air. So you know, you get all the categories on the back of your license. Maybe not the bus ones. I'm not sure. But I want to do all of those.
Not so attractive.
I mean, you spend the money on a bus. I mean, I'm like gonna.
The HGV and the motorcycle. Well, the HGV is just a good string to the bow, I think, because obviously it's good money. There's not many drivers out there, and you can always fall back on it.
Yeah.
The motorcycle is just cool.
Oh, it's just pure vanity.
What, vanity for the motorcycle?
Yeah,
I think it's just fun, that kind of thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, fun. Oh, obviously,
I suppose you look cool.
Well, yeah, I just imagine wouldn't look like Steve McQueen. Obviously, that would never happen. But I just have that image of Steve McQueen in Great Escape, and
flying. I can picture you now flying a plane, like open top with the goggles on,
with a scar,
jump out, parachute, fall onto a motorbike. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, we're
getting far-fetched.
That would be
far-fetched, but it could happen.
Yeah,
could happen. Yeah, no. Could be a stunt guy in a movie.
Someone's got to roll that bike at your speed. You're coming in with a with a paragliding whatever parachute.
Yeah, you got to have a team of people.
Land on the motorbike.
That's a plan. Yeah, it's all possible. Possible.
Maybe it's the next Raycon Productions production.
Yeah.
Now we're talking. Yeah.
Have you done anything else? So you're mastering land currently. Have you done anything in the sky or boating?
No. Well, no. Obviously, water sports in terms of surfing and paddleboarding, that sort of thing. But no, I've obviously sailing. I'd love to do, and power boating. I looked up the other day actually. What you have to get? You got to get like a level 2 power boating qualification to be able to hire boats and that sort of thing. So that might be next.
I'm not even sure. How much does that kind of thing cost? Is that a lot of money?
Well, yeah, I should throw my money.
You're going through the motorcycle thing now, aren't you?
Yeah. But I might move on to... I don't know, I just like learning. So it's just whatever the next thing is. But
I suppose the travel for the boat might be a pain.
Yeah. I think there are local places. to get the qualification.
Can you do it on lakes and things like that?
Yeah, pretty sure. Or
on
rivers,
the river,
rivers, yeah. In terms of air as well, nothing, I don't think. But yeah, that's like the long term, because it's pretty pricey.
Yeah.
Being a pilot, but that's another thing. Maybe later this year. I don't know. Too many things. Rockets. Well, that'll be the next thing.
Maybe in 2 years. You'll be on rockets.
So yeah, you be a test pilot first, and then the rockets.
That would be cool.
Mind you,
being an astronaut.
Yeah, you can be an astronaut just being a passenger, can't you? William Shatner, the actor. Hey, William Shatner.
What were you going to say about being a passenger though?
Being a passenger in a rocket, right? You can do it through Virgin Galactic. You can do it.
Oh, right. So technically, if you go as a passenger and pay the money.
Yeah, an astronaut is simply someone who's travelled in space.
Right. Didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure.
Well, I saw like Richard Branson and Jeff Bezos went to space, didn't they? Do you mean like that?
Yeah.
All
exactly.
you do is you're just there for the experience.
Yeah. So it's a bit of a cop out, I think, but it's just for really rich people.
To say they're
celebrities, yeah.
Virgin
Galactic, with Richard Branson. So it's the closest point to Earth really that you can officially call space. So it's literally just above the atmospheric area where you can call you're in orbit. So you can just above it, so you can kind of see the blackness of space, and then see the sort of curvature of the Earth. And then with Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin, he took up obviously himself as well. William Shatner. I'm sure it is. Have you guys heard of William Shatner? Kirk from Star Trek.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. The original 60s. Kirk and Spock.
Yeah.
I hope I have got that name right, but
I'm not sure. The William Shatner. You might be right. I'm not good with like actors.
But anyway, he's like 90 or something, and he is the oldest astronaut now.
Wow.
And you've got all these people that have been on the space shuttle and on the space station, and been to the moon. They're astronauts, and this celebrity who starred in a TV show.
It's news to me that just to be a passenger makes you an astronaut, gives you that almost status. Is it a status? It's just.
I remember reading somewhere. When the project of Virgin Galactic was getting public in the media's eye, that was mentioned. Yeah. Because you've got aeronaut, astronaut. I suppose. I'm pretty sure it's not the pilot. I'm pretty sure it is. The passenger or whoever's.
Yeah, because. Like the Apollo missions, not all of them are the pilots of the ship, are they? They all have a part to play.
That is true.
And they're all astronauts.
That's true, yeah.
It kind of makes sense.
That's right, yeah. They're definitely not all passengers there. They all definitely have roles, but I know what you mean. Yeah, there's always one of them which is devoted to being a pilot. 100%.
Yeah. I thought it was like a job role, because like you say, when the Apollo missions, they have roles.
Yeah,
they're not just some 90-year-old actor just sat there like, oh, this is fun. But can anyone... Was that like a special event, or is Virgin Galactic like an actual thing? If you've got loads of money, you can go on.
No, I'm not sure how regular they are. Whether what I've read has just been tests. I don't keep totally up to date with it, but certainly they've done tests and they were successful. There's been no sort of horror shows. But that plan is going to be regular flights. Obviously, you've got to have the money to do it. Blue Origins was probably a publicity stunt with William Shatner, but obviously they had plenty of tests, and they'll have like military contracts, NASA contracts, similar to how SpaceX do it. But yeah, like it's going to be a lot's going to be going on with space exploration now, in terms of setting up a moon base and more and more extensive projects and missions to Mars, and we're getting close. Like within our lifetime, easily we're gonna have astronauts, like humans, on Mars. Whether it's for like a short-term mission, or whether it's actually there permanently. These people, who knows? I know
within the next 20 years.
Well, within this decade,
there'll be a manned.
There's going to be a manned mission to Mars. That's the plan, anyway.
How long will it take to get there, though?
I think it's like 9 months, eight to 9 months. And that's obviously a long time.
Well, I thought it was longer than that. I'd sit in a spaceship for
I
9
thought
months
it was longer than that.
to get to Mars.
Yeah.
I'd be happy with that.
We watched Interstellar recently. Obviously, this is a sci-fi film.
Great film.
But their mission to Saturn, because obviously the wormhole in Saturn was 18 months.
Yeah,
Obviously
that's
Saturn
set a bit
is-
in the future, isn't it?
What are you trying to say?
Well, they've probably got better technology, like faster ships. That was
Well, no, because I think it depends. Because depends if they use fuel or not. I don't know. It's a good point. It's a good one because
I'd take a 9-month journey. Like
you
Yeah,
would.
Definitely.
I don't know. I've done 9 months in the outback of Australia. Just sat there on my own, and that was pretty shit.
So hang on. So you're telling me in that those whole 9 months you were just with you? Or
No,
just
there was
with
people come and go. Yeah, so there
come
was-
and go.
But it felt like solitude.
It felt like
Obviously-
if
well,
that
being
felt
away-
like solitude.
Yeah, imagine being on
Well,
ship. I wouldn't do it on my own. That's for sure. I'd do it with you two.
yeah, you sure?
Yeah, we'd probably go mad.
We
We'd
would
play a lot of chess.
Yeah.
We would play shitloads of chess.
We'll probably start thinking we are the only humans and everyone else are just these pieces. It's like we'll start talking to these chess pieces.
Is it when you're up? There's a thing when you're up in space, you get depressed, or is it when you get back down onto Earth after seeing Earth from the perspective of being away from Earth?
I think
You feel insignificant. Is that?
Yeah, I've read a couple biographies of astronauts, Tim Peake and Chris Hadfield, and from what they say, because they're constantly busy on the space station, that they're constantly doing experiments, constantly looking after themselves, constantly monitoring themselves, constantly monitoring all sorts. I think there's a slight period when they first bored, but again you're constantly busy and aware, so I don't think you have time to be actually depressed. And obviously you think about the training they go through, and these guys are incredible guys. Obviously they are still human at the end of the day, but what you're talking about is, it is a common thing, like a surreal depressed feeling that your perspective has changed when you come back to Earth, that you've seen the point of where you've lived your whole life, where humans have ever lived their lives. Anything you've ever known, anyone has known, has been on that little blue dot you've had in your view just through the window. Like it's just me looking at my neighbour's house, just
and then just getting back home, and then just looking up at the vast, the stars and
Obviously, it would fade. It would fade. Oh, obviously, I've never done it myself, but surely it would fade, and it would be fine again. And you think, the little things in life, getting an ice cream,
going surfing,
going surfing. Yeah,
It must be crazy though, because I look up to the sky on a clear night and see the stars and think, oh wow, like I am insignificant. Look at all this in the sky.
Yeah.
Imagine looking back on where you used to be as well,
and seeing it as like just a little orb in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And you look around. I don't know what their windows, like little tiny windows, but to then look around the Earth and just see the vastness, and how it's just there, in the middle of nothing.
That's another, and you kind of think how lucky, and the probability of life to exist, to flourish, to grow, to develop and evolve to beings like us. Yes, obviously we have a lot of our problems, but it kind of makes you appreciate that out of all that out there, that there's us on that little blue dot, and we're doing something. We're doing something.
Yeah.
That's life, and I suppose it makes you have that perspective too. So there's a flip side.
Yeah, there's got to be a big switch clicked when you kind of look at it from that perspective.
Yeah, I mean,
it's got to be a big moment for anyone.
Yeah. I couldn't.
Everything you've ever known is on that little orb. Pretty cool.
Yeah, incredible. I mean, yeah, just it's the explorer in us too, though, to always think. Yeah, you appreciate that, but then you think, what's the next step? Where should we go next? What's the thing we haven't been to before? And then we move on to places like Mars. We move on to like mining on asteroids and stuff like that, and then we think, can we can we discover a wormhole? Can we discover what dark matter is? Can we work out the secrets of quantum mechanics and relativity to break the speed of light and all sorts of stuff like that? And it's just exciting that the wonder of, can we discover that, and where could it take us next?
I've always had a theory about the speed of light that I might have heard a long time ago.
Right. Yeah.
But if you were to beat the speed of light, does that mean you can travel in time? Because
Well, I mean, that's
the theory, I think I heard it a long time, and it's probably well known within people that know stuff about science, physics.
I don't know.
But
Man,
so say we're on Earth right now and we're looking at stars.
Mm.
The stars that we're seeing, and in their moment that we're seeing them, because it's taken time for that light to travel. We're seeing stars that might have exploded, or we're seeing them thousands of years ago. So if we were to travel faster than that light has traveled to get here, over to a star, and then we're looking back at Earth, right? We're looking at Earth thousands of years ago. And if we were to travel faster than the light, and we're looking at Earth the whole time, now we're at Earth, are we back in time?
No, it's not time traveling.
Talking about space-time continuum, because time isn't a separate element. It's space-time.
Okay.
Because time is, I mean, I'm reading a book at the moment. It's quite complex. Time is just a figment of not our imagination, but it's how we observe. I mean, each one of us has our own time.
Yeah.
Like, we have different times. Each one of us sitting here right now, there might be minuscule difference.
Right.
But we are each on our own time.
But what I'm saying, forget time for a second then. So I'm looking at the star over there that might have exploded by now or whatever. I've travelled there and I'm looking back at Earth and I'm seeing it. Say I had an amazing telescope that could see all the way to Earth.
Yeah.
And it's like back in time a little bit. Right? Because obviously it takes time for the light to travel. I've travelled at speed of light.
Wait. So you're telling me you've travelled at speed of light?
Faster than the speed of light. So okay, so we're looking back at Earth, and we're seeing like where we are now. It doesn't make sense.
No, because I get what you're saying, but if you're looking
just
back,
impossible. For me, it's impossible thing to comprehend because
there's so many like variables with Can we even?
You go into talking about what present is, what is now, because now doesn't exist.
I was trying to do the example without mentioning the word time.
Yeah.
So we can literally see, say for argument's sake, the dinosaurs, or we were on the star at a point where you're looking at Earth and the dinosaurs are around. It's that period. And then you were to travel there faster than the speed of light. Yeah. Would you be there at the same time that you're looking at it, or would you overtake the light?
I mean,
would you be going back in time?
Because your question is totally hypothetical, the answer could be anything you want it to be.
I want it to be yes.
No, I feel like the answer is no. I feel like you've gone to the star far away. You beat the speed of light, so you're looking back in time. But in reality, on Earth, that's not what is happening right now. You're seeing what happened before because you've overtook what you're seeing.
But is that not like time revolves around me kind of like the way you're talking?
Well, it just depends how fast are you talking when you say faster than the speed of light?
Well, that depends on how far back in time you want to go.
Or how much time, because even if it's faster than the speed of light, it's a certain distance, you know.
It's beyond my comprehension, mate. I couldn't do the maths.
I'm a first year physics year. I have no clue how to even comprehend that.
It's interesting though, isn't it?
But it is it's those questions which help you sort of investigate, and you'll find more questions. But that's the whole point of discovery, that you'll find new things that you never even knew you wanted to know along that journey to trying to find out the original thing you wanted to know, but other things will actually be more interesting.
There's no chance that I'm right, let's be honest. But I've always said that from when I was quite young, so I think I heard it like at an early age, or it was someone else's theory that I've just remembered and always thought about.
Could have been anyone. They could have just been.
They could have been anybody, yeah.
Just a sci-fi
or it could have been
author.
Or I could have just dreamt it and made it up in my head. You never know.
Yeah.
Fuck knows.
Makes for a cool maybe song or something.
Yeah. No. No.
I was traveling fast to be alive. See the dinosaurs from outer space.
I'm gonna go there. I'm
you-
gonna grab a cider quick.
I was going to say, do you fancy getting into this room?
I might have one more cider. Wow, open it up. I'm just gonna grab a cider for the. Do you want me to get the ice as well?
Well, go on. I'll grab it for you. I'll have a beer as well.
Yeah, nice.
Do you want a drink, Jack?
I'm still nursing this cider.
Yeah, no
So
worries.
good.
That rum's gonna knock his socks off.
It is. What percentage is it?
I don't know. Like
I can try and read it from here. Is that 30?
37 and a half.
37 and a half. That's,
red leg.
it's going to be an interesting couple of hours.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Well, yeah, I mean, that.
How is the degree going?
How's the degree going? It's going well. I'm currently doing the quantum realm is the topic it's called now. So just the sort of the principles and fundamentals of quantum mechanics, basically.
Right. So lots of maths.
No, not too much maths really. There is maths elements involved in terms of formulas and how to sort of work out like not speed of light, but the energy of certain things. But it's more to do with the mechanics of the very small, of how it's like something called the uncertainty principle, where you can't ever know or predict where like a little electron, a little subatomic particle is going to be, and you can't predict it. Where if you're going to throw a tennis ball, you could predict where that's going to go through the Newton laws, because you know its mass, you know its velocity, you can measure those things.
Gravity.
And gravity, yeah. So, but something so minuscule, like we're talking like smaller than 100 nanometers. Like
that's quantum, isn't it?
It's quantum, yeah.
Yeah.
Quantum, yeah. So quantum is the very small, and it's how they behave, and that you just don't know how do they behave. So
they're like buzzing around, or are they like?
Well, this is it. So it's called how they behave is the wave particle duality. Is they act like a wave, like how you see a sound wave, microwave, or an actual water wave. That sort of pattern where it ebbs out. If you throw a pebble in a lake and you see the sort of swell forming or the wave forming, an electron acts like that, but it also acts like a particle, like a point. And how scientists discovered this was an experiment called the double slit experiment, where you'd have a piece of card with two thin slits, and then you'd have another piece of card which would measure or where these electrons would hit, and you'd have an electron beam which would fire at a very dim electron beam, so it could fire one electron at once. Wow. And it would go through the slit, and you'd expect it like grains of sand going through, just to make a pile of sand, like two piles of sand through the two slits.
Yeah.
But you keep going with these electrons, and they're making dots. You can see where they are landing.
They have energy
on this sheet. Oh, they've it's called quanta energy. Yeah, so everything. That's another form of quantum mechanics. But you can see where they're landing, and over time, you see that there's many line strips forming. So there's a strip, gap. Instead of just two strips where the two slits are, in fact, they've spread across. They've spread across the whole thing. So you just see thousands and thousands of dots.
What does that mean?
In this formation?
What do they learn
it means that they're spreading out. That any possible outcome of where that particle is, it is going there. It's not going where you think it's going to go. It's almost nature is rolling a dice, and it's saying, "Oh, you're going to go there that time, or you're going to go there," and over time you see it making this structure like a wave, where you have peaks and troughs, right? So you see where it's formed, and then there's nothing, and then you see where it's formed, and then there's nothing. That's what it's like in this double slit experiment with electrons, or it can be with photons too. Just any
Is this
sort of
stuff
particle.
you're reading now? Then
It's this. So yeah, so it's a bit shaky. But it's such a good revision for me. But but it's a bit shaky. Brian Cox would explain it a lot better than me, but obviously, but that's the principle, that how they behave is it's like a contradiction where they're both wave and particle, and it's just a whole mystery. It's quite well known for quantum mechanics to boggle people, because it's just not how you'd expect things to behave, and it's unpredictable. And yet it does run on probability. It's crazy. I'm only at the beginnings of learning about it, and it is fascinating. But the amazing thing is that it's in applications across the world. We have used the rules of quantum mechanics throughout the 20th century on actual applications, and one of the latest things is a quantum computer, and it's I don't know the actual part of the quantum computer which relies on it, but something that we know little about, we can still take advantage of and use. And it's in nature as well, like photosynthesis, the light that the green leaves get, the little photons can get a bit too, but it's within photosynthesis, those quantum mechanical rules, so it's already in nature. But it is crazy to try and get your head around, but that's kind of why I love physics, and I have quite a good imagination, and it sort of feeds into that. And yeah, you can sort of go on and on, get real nerdy about it.
I can tell you're really passionate.
Yeah. It's because it's just, you just get your teeth into it, and it's almost the wonder that you can naturally have, and also you had as a kid, you can tap back into that, and it's just sort of quite liberating almost, that you're kind of on a journey of discovery, and that's kind of what you do. And if you do well enough and work hard enough, you can do that for the rest of your life as a job. And obviously,
research.
You can research, or you can apply it, or you can do anything. I would like to sort of be in the field and use what I learn at the moment. Anyway, this could change the more I learn in physics. I would like to use that in the field and to help combat climate change, or help combat the use of fossil fuels, or increase carbon capture, or invent or discover a new piece of technology that can help it in any way, basically. Because
that would be cool.
Yeah, it would be really cool, and I just think it's one of my responsibilities, really, of someone who's aware and someone who cares about it, to kind of stand up and do something, and yeah, who knows what it could be? Who knows? Because it's an expanding field. We're learning more and more all the time.
Figuring out like a new source of energy.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like going to renewable energies. That's not something I've totally looked into very much. But certainly something like, I think it's fission. I know fusion is looked at, but I think fission, or it generates a self-sustained energy source like the sun, which burns its own fuel. Obviously, all stars eventually die, but it's we're talking billions, millions of years. But to generate something like that's
dangerous work.
Totally. Oh yeah, very, very dangerous.
Imagine creating something that just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and you're like,
yeah. Well, have you guys seen Spider-Man 2? The one with Doc Ock.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm sort of talking about. That's kind of that obviously is a sci-fi film, but that's the sort of idea many scientists sort of have for renewable energy, and it's like a self-sustained energy source that you can just use, and it doesn't affect the atmosphere, and it's just ongoing. You can tap into it. Yeah, obviously, it goes all wrong in that film, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We all know what happens.
Pretty badly.
Yeah.
Saying about that, how are we close to that, or is it just a bit of a pipe dream?
I mean, I'm no expert. But I doubt that, unless you don't hear much in the mainstream news, only because obviously that's all bogged down with current affairs like COVID or whatever Boris has been up to.
What a legend!
Oh yeah, man. But
Well,
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know how close we are, but I know it's likely that we're far off. Yeah, I think it's just more to do with our consumption and how the everyday person consumes, and just the big companies that are responsible for using fossil fuels and sort of encouraging that on the supply and demand of us consumers. It is on them, but it is also us to be responsible for what we consume as well. But it is hard, you know. People are entangled in their lives. They want convenience. That's the big thing now. Like, everything's so convenient.
Well, it all goes back to money, doesn't it? It all goes back to, why would these companies do that when they look at it in paper and think, well, we'll be losing money, and all these other companies won't stop doing it, and then we'll be losing out, and the consumers, they don't care. They don't care too much. People like to think they care, but they don't want to go too deep into it and find out too much, because, like you say, it's inconvenient.
It's inconvenient because you start spending more and more time sort of reading this sort of article about this petition, or reading into this whatever, and you kind of got your kids screaming like, or I don't know, you've got an appointment in 10 minutes. You're like, oh, I gotta get out, or you kind of
to counter that argument. Surely the person who figures out the new renewable source of energy, or are we still on that, aren't we?
We can, yeah.
Surely the person that figures that out is going to be a multimillionaire. The person who kind of breaks that.
Yeah, but would that be their motivation?
No, well, the money probably, would be.
You think?
Well,
their motivation to.
Well, a lot of people, I don't know. No.
Well, I mean, sort of deep down, everyone wants an easy life and a good quality life, and money is a good way of accessing that and locking that. But to some, typically, like you'd hope that someone who spends that amount of time and who has begun a career in that would want to make an influence, a positive influence, a bit like how the scientists and developed a vaccine for COVID. Obviously, that's a whole other thing, whether you're pro-vaccine or whatnot. But they did that, you'd hope, because it was a mission to kind of help people out, to help out the hospitals. And
I was countering more the argument about the big companies that are obviously the reason everything they do is obviously to make money. So why would they avoid something that could potentially be one of the biggest?
Because that's far
what
away,
the public
isn't
demands. It's what the public demand. You'd see all these companies now, all these food producer companies in supermarkets. More and more plant-based stuff's coming out.
Yeah.
Obviously you got veganery, but it's also the wave of almost like a force of people or a momentum now that, you know, you get people like Greta, and you get people like David Attenborough, big influences, and people are kind of slowly waking up to that, or slowly realizing what the good thing is to do, what the right thing is to do. Yes, you can see the benefits for yourself, but also what is my impact going to be on this planet? What's sort of important, whether you care about animals, whether you care about diversity of life, whether you care about what your kids are going to live through, what their grandkids are going to live through, and kind of realizing we're in a time now where we have the power to change things. It's going to be difficult, but we can make little steps. And these big companies, if they see in the data and the statistics that the public are actually shifting their view of things, maybe, and also you get activists and whatnot having pressure, like Greenpeace, Extinction Rebellion, putting pressure on these big companies. But you're right. You have a board. They have stocks. They have, they have other intentions. But yeah, it's you got to fight for what you believe in, and and see any positives and use that momentum, I guess. But yeah, there's always a skeptical part, isn't there?
It's making sure the people are behind you, and I feel like sometimes that can make the wrong things be pushed. Like, have you seen Seaspiracy?
I actually haven't. I avoid. Yeah.
Well, I'm only taking one statistic from it anyway. The fact that
such a depressing.
Plastic straws only made up for 0.03% of waste in the ocean. But if they come out and say, "Oh, everyone, stop eating fish. Fishing's really bad," people are going to be like, "No." But if they go on something as simple as plastic straws that everyone's getting from McDonald's and everyone loves to give companies like that shit, everyone can get behind it and feel good, like they're doing good. But realistically, it's only being put.
It draws the eye and think, oh, they're doing great. Oh, we don't have to worry anymore. Blah 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 blah. Living in La La Land, and they can keep doing what's convenient for them. And yeah, it's great where you have documentaries like that which do shed light on the reality and the figures. But yeah, it's just those big changes, isn't it? And it's like politics. They don't want to risk the majority disagreeing with them, and because that's how they get their power. That's how they get their money, through the majority. So yeah, it's
crazy topic.
Yeah, it's huge. I don't. Yeah, it's like totally uninformed, isn't it? So just kind of go on and on.
Yeah. Do you go? Obviously, you two go surfing a lot. Do you know? Do you go and noticeably see trash washing up? Is it bad or?
You know what?
I have done. I have seen.
Molliettes was bad. Do you remember seeing the microplastics, or not even micro, just like bits of little chunks of blue, there was red plastic in the sand?
A lot worse than the UK, to be honest.
Yeah,
the UK I don't see much. Like, it's the odd thing, but like Molliettes, there was like shit about, like a lot of bits of plastic.
Where's that at? Molliettes?
West coast of France.
Yeah, so the Atlantic, coming from the Atlantic
Ocean. Yeah,
you know where there's more, just because you see it, don't you? Where it collects in clusters in the ocean, with like huge masses of just trash,
debris. Yeah. Plastic just looks like a mess.
Yeah,
but we go regularly in the UK, and to be fair, it seems fairly clean. But obviously, that's not the case. There's shit going on, but I don't see much like on the coastlines.
Yeah, I
we visit much. Anyway.
Yeah, you see the odd.
Even the beaches are clean.
A plastic bottle, or
we're surprisingly it seems clean. Sorry, but yeah.
Well, no, it's just it's just like a seaside town. You get the odd like ice cream packet or water bottle, but yeah, it's pretty clean. Like in Wales, I don't ever see it. Yeah, it's pretty nice actually. Yeah.
But yeah, Molliettes did, and obviously you see all the videos on Instagram or whatever you're watching of these huge mounds of just looks like landfill in the sea.
Yeah.
And obviously, everyone's seen the videos. It is about.
Yeah, it'll be everywhere.
But it hasn't affected, well, from my perspective, it obviously is, because I'm not living by the sea, but when I travel down to go and surf, it's not so bad.
Was it a popular spot where you went in Molliettes?
It was. Like,
that whole coastline is
for massive. A lot of Europeans, like Germans who love to surf, and obviously they're landlocked, so they go over. There was quite a few over there. People from all over the world kind of do seasons there. One of our sort of instructors was Australian, wasn't he? And
Rooster,
good old Rooster. What a character!
He's the one who got us into chess, I think.
He actually was. Yeah,
because he's this cool guy, like Jack was about to say. He's an Australian geezer, long brown hair, and he's a really good surfer. He's like, our instructor showed us where all the good spots were, and he'd literally come out of the sea after a surf session, get his chessboard out, and play his mate at chess. And obviously, we had both played in the past.
Yeah,
so we were just like that. That looks, it goes hand in hand. Like it's a really nice thing to do after you come out of the sea.
Yeah, I don't know whether that is a thing, whether surfers instinctively do chess in between sessions, or whether it was just spawned from that week, that experience. But it certainly works. Yeah, you just sort of bathe in the sun. If you're not really into sort of sunbathing. Which we're not. Yeah, I'm not. It's just
what we doing next, kind of thing.
yeah, what we're doing next.
Yeah,
and it's just a great thing to do, isn't it?
Yeah,
strategize.
It's the perfect combination.
Yeah, it's class.
Along with a bit of hash.
Bit of hash. Did we have hash there?
Probably.
Did we?
I don't know.
Yeah, probably did.
Yeah, but no, chess is a great combination. But how do we get on that? We're talking about plastics in the ocean.
Well, yeah, and then we went on surfing, didn't we? I always find it interesting how people around, like you and your group of mates, are all into surfing when you saw inland.
Yeah,
like, that always trips me out. Like, what? How did you even get into it?
Well, yeah,
it was Louis' birthday.
It was Louis' birthday. He had heard about how much fun his older brother Alf had been having, I think.
Yeah.
And he was like, guys, let's try surfing.
Let's rent boards.
Yeah, let's rent boards.
Let's go
I
out.
think he had already had a go the other weekend or something. Oh, it's really fun. This was on the Friday. We'd got down on the Friday, and we were like well up for it.
Heavy weekend.
It was a heavy weekend, and we had promised to do it first thing in the morning Saturday, and we're there in walkabout. Having
the night went on until like 4, 5 in the morning.
And
we were all like that in bed. And anyway, we did it, didn't we?
We did it.
It was really good surf. It was.
we were splashing around. We didn't know what we were doing.
But no, what I know from that first time, what I remember is that we got out massive boards and we all were like falling over the place.
Yeah.
We got out like swimming around on the board, and then we turned around and like we started to ride on these waves, because obviously when I was younger I used to bodyboard, so I kind of knew how the wave broke and where to be to get the momentum. And I'm sure you were as well. You used to go in the sea when you were a kid. Yeah, so we'd paddle in, not knowing anything about surfing, but then I'm sure did you stand up the first session? I think Browner did.
Oh, you're on about the...
Is that the second one?
The Sunday.
Was that the Sunday?
Sunday, yeah. The Saturday was us at Fistral.
I don't remember that Saturday because of that Friday. I don't remember it. I actually have no recollection. So yeah, you tell the story.
We spent about 6 hours splashing around.
Really?
Louis was like, Louis was just intent on getting out to the back. Oh, I've heard that's where it is. That's where you got to be. And he was just constantly getting through it, and I was just getting bashed.
So it was washout. It was quite big.
It was washout. Well, from what I recall, looking back now with our experienced eyes, it might be different, but I just remember total
bombardment
of breaking waves and trying to get through it, and we were having an amazing time. We all got sunburned. It was incredible. Told everyone about it Saturday. They were like, "What are you doing?" And we were like, "We've had the best time." Yeah. And then Sunday we had another mate, Louis Brown, join us. We went to a different spot.
That was a lot calmer, wasn't it?
It was a lot calmer, and it was the spot a bit further down, in Newquay. It was called?
It's not Fistral.
Not Fistral. No, it's further down. It's
Sundown.
No, but it was that other one. And yeah, I remember you standing up, and we were like, How's he done that?
And then Browner did.
He?
Pretty soon after.
Did he?
I'm sure Browner got up. Maybe he was like obviously really wide legged and just a bit like.
I think it was like tiny waves as well. I think
that's what I remember being so calm.
It was like a lake, pretty much.
Let me just try and jog my memory really quickly. You know the first session where we surfed and Louis was there. I just remember being on the beach. I don't even know what it looks like. I haven't been back to Fistral since then. But you kind of walk down off the thing, and Louis was like, "Let's go in. We've got to go in. We've got to go in now." Was it that time?
You've just described every surf.
Yeah. No. So back to the Sunday.
Will Collett. We enticed Will Collett to come along and give it a go.
Yeah. On the Sunday.
On the Saturday.
And then surf Sawyer, every day, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
No, we just surfed a Saturday and
Saturday.
Yeah. And then Sawyer came because Will had had enough because we had left him. And so Will was hanging out with Sawyer, and we were just thrashing around, and they probably had left to see the other guys, and we just didn't know what was what. We were just like, yeah, this is amazing, just sort of being one with the crashing waves, getting bad in. And
I hate that my memory's so bad from that surf, but I do remember the Sunday. The Sunday was sunny, it was calm, and I remember catching that wave.
Yeah, that's why you remember it.
Probably. It was just like you just like glide across it, and it's just like almost like what we were explaining earlier when you're an astronaut looking back at Earth. Like you're like, that is amazing.
It's the feeling when you catch a wave, and everyone has it where you have this one memory of this one wave. I do. It was at Coney, and it was one of my first. It's just when you think about it, it just brings that fuzzy feeling, and it's just that you feel weightless, and you got this constant speed, and it's just like
everything's
forever,
picturesque around you.
Things slow down, and you're in that calm sort of moment, and it's bliss. It's blissful and focused bliss. Yeah, and you just sort of look back, and you're just going along this wave, going along the face, and everyone has it. You must have have one moment.
My one
which
is Molliette's, where we mentioned before.
Yeah,
you know the time we woke up at like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
and I was really into video production at the time, so we were getting up at that sunrise. Was it? Oh, it's because Browner was leaving.
It was Browner was leaving, so we got up.
Yeah,
I think it was still pretty. I think sunrise was pretty early.
Yeah, so we were really early, and I'd set up a camera to kind of do like a time lapse of the sun rising or whatever. So these guys were all surfing, and I was just there, focused on the camera, getting shots of people coming out of the sea.
You had a tripod.
I had a tripod. Yeah. I was doing all of it, like getting just shots of everything that was going on at that time. It was quite. I need to look at that footage. But you all came out, didn't you? And then I was like, fuck it, I've got to go try and catch one.
Yeah.
And I swam out, and the sun had kind of just risen. It just looked beautiful, and it was like 3 foot max, like 2 to 3 foot.
They were tiny, but it was
small
glassy.
Waves.
It was really nice.
Swam out, and then I turned around, and this little wave came, and I just thought, paddle on it. And I just remember standing up, and it was just like Jack explained, it's just like you're fizzing across the wave. It's bliss. It's calm. And it was just the most picturesque moment of my life. Like I was looking around, I was looking back, I was just like, this is amazing. And it just went on for way longer than any of my rides before. Molliette's, we were there at a time when, was it Hurricane Katrina was going on in the States?
It was a hurricane. I think Katrina was before, but it was a massive hurricane.
A massive hurricane was going on in the States. So there was a time where it was red flagged. It was literally like 12-foot waves barreling, and literally if you were caught in that wave, then it would just throw you upside down, hold you under the water for like, I don't know, 30 seconds to a minute. Well, not a minute.
It felt like that.
It felt like shorter, but maybe like 10 seconds.
Maybe 10 seconds.
But anyway, whilst we were there, it was massive waves, and we caught a couple, but like they're short rides. Like you're down, you're up, and obviously we were still pretty like new to it at that stage. So anyway, that morning when it was really calm, just being on a wave for like longer than 10 seconds and having the time to look around and get your bearings as to where you are and just take it all in. That's the one for me anyway.
Yeah.
And it was only like 2-3 foot, like a tiny little.
But it could be any way, but you're still using the energy of like a natural resource, like a wave. Like you're getting back in. Maybe that's another thing. You're sort of reconnecting with nature and sort of being at one with it.
As cliche as it sounds.
Yeah, but it's also giving respect to it. Where I think obviously day to day a lot of people don't respect nature, and at the end of the day, we wouldn't be around if it wasn't for nature. Like people call me a tree hugger or whatever, but there is truth behind it, and people rediscovered through lockdown and whatnot all the walks and everything. Like people think, oh, walks are amazing. You know, I would have spent my weekend clubbing and stuff, but now I don't want to be going out till 3 a.m. because in the morning I want to be out there doing a hike, and we've got so many mates now that have rediscovered that or just discovered it and love it, and that's one silver lining out of COVID. It slowed everyone down, and maybe people see the good stuff.
It is the good stuff. The some of my fondest moments surfing was when we used to go to Porthcawl. Yeah, and it used to be choppy as anything. Yeah. We didn't know anything about surfing really. We'd all be renting boards. Yeah, and these waves would obviously, when it's windy and the wind's coming onshore, it's just white water. You're swimming across a wave, and then literally 3 seconds later, you got another wave.
It just flattens
like
out.
Wave.
It's just constant.
But we'd go at it for like 2-3 hours. So we'd be like swimming, and finally we get out the back. These waves smashing us, falling off. Literally, you get up, your eyes.
You sit on your board and thank God.
You get out the back behind where these big waves are breaking, and you just sat there, and it's just like this big wave's taking you up and you're down. You're sat on your board, and you're just coming up, and you're just there, and you've been battling for like an hour of the hardest work you've ever done physically and mentally, because you're keeping going, like you're not giving up. And those times when my fondest really fond memory of like that period of time is when you get out of that. So we've not really done much surfing, but we've been through the battle, basically. That's what it is. It's a battle with nature, isn't it?
It is a huge battle. It's like climbing Everest. Not literally, but
on a 3-foot wave. This is like Everest.
No, but these were bigger waves, and we had no experience.
Getting through these waves out to the calm bit. Sometimes it can take half an hour, and it's like climbing to the top of that mountain. So you get that view. you're like, oh, I can breathe now. Cool.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
just,
You've achieved it. You've achieved.
Yeah,
like,
you've achieved it. I mean, it's not necessarily what surfing's about, but it's almost kind of getting to the point where you can surf, or it doesn't even have to be about surfing. It could just be about, again, being in the sea and kind of going through that battle.
The hype we all had after like surfs like that, where none of us had stood up on a wave at all. We're just like literally battling with the waves, getting out the back, and we'd spend like 3 hours in the water, like completely fucked, like dragging our boards out the water, getting in the car, putting some tunes on, getting warm, this is winter surf, so it's like freezing cold,
getting a coffee from the cafe,
getting warm, getting a coffee, and all being in the car listening to music. Like no drug will ever give me that feeling. Like,
really, no, because it's so so clean and so.
The endorphins are just everywhere.
Yeah,
up to my eyeballs in it. Yeah,
but yeah, it's literally a great natural high, and you almost feel like stoned. You're like, oh, but it's everything's enjoyable. Everything's so much nicer because you're just totally relaxed. It's like you've been
10 minutes later we're
10-day
all
spa.
Fast asleep.
Yeah.
It's just a great thing to do, isn't it?
It's those times where we were the only people in the ocean. There were no lifeguards. There were everyone kind of knew that there's gonna be no surf today. Well, let's not bother. But we were like, yeah, let's go. So we're free this weekend.
By no surf, you mean no good waves, but there's a lot of horrible waves that are just smashing you and smashing you.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've had some dangerous moments, haven't we?
Yeah, I've been caught in a rip current or two.
Yeah.
Waving for help. No one's there.
Yeah, that was when we went to Croyd. When we went to Croyd the other week, I lost my strap, didn't I?
Yeah. It was in Putsborough, wasn't it?
Yeah, Putsborough. Yeah. So me and Jack swam out, and Louis, we were all there. We were trying to swim out past his break, and this is stronger than a lot of stuff that we'd ever come across, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was similar to Molliette's, actually.
We just really wanted to get out the back, and that's normally the battle, is just getting out the back and finding the rip. But anyway, me and Jack just kept swimming, like literally. We got past our first like wave of energy, and then like, we're gonna have to lower weight here for a bit. Go back again, swim. Third one gone, and then we just kept going until we got out the back, and then we just like we must have been in some sort of trance, because the amount of energy it had taken us to get out the back.
Yeah,
we were like, I'm not getting, because these waves that are coming, like that are literally, say you're laying on your belly on the floor, it's higher than the ceiling of the thing. Like these waves are just coming over, and if you get hit by one, it hurts, or like you're underwater for a little while. So we got out past them, and we're like, we must have been thinking we don't want to get hit by another one, so we just kept going. So we kept swimming out, and there's these massive waves coming in, and anyway,
you just see them developing, like, here's
Christ,
Goliath.
We looked around and we're like, fucking hell, we're literally way away from the beach. Like, there's no way he's going to break around here.
Yeah.
And we're like, we're in a rip here.
Yeah, we had slowly been going a bit further.
Normally you surf around, like, I don't know, like that to there, but we're like over here, and we're like, fuck. So we start swimming back, don't we? Swimming back, and then, was it after that I basically got caught in a massive wave? And
no, it
must have been afterwards. It must have been.
I think it was before.
Because I lost my board.
I think this was a separate occasion.
Were they?
I think it was...
Yeah, that was after.
There was because you were on a different board, because you had left that board behind because the leash had broke, so you chose your other board, so then you came back out.
Okay, so the start of the story is...
You started at the end.
Yeah, I started right at the end. But the start of the story is one of those waves.
Like a Tarantino movie where all the chaps are all mixed up.
Earlier on, I'd been on my littler board, and this big wave had picked me up, threw me over. Jack was still trying to get out to where I was, so I was further out than Jack. And my board, I felt it. You know when you go, wow, the wave picked me up, smashed me under the water, and I'm underwater, and I feel my leg, because obviously it drags you underground, under the deep down under the water, and I feel my board, like the tension on my leg, and it just went ping, right? And I'm at a point where
you heard it ping.
I felt it. I didn't hear anything, but it was like, you know when there's tension, and I knew what had happened.
Yeah.
But like, I'm at a point in out in the ocean where I'd been trying to get to for ages on a board, and I just lost my board, and I've got no way of getting back to the beach. It's a dangerous place to be. It's a very dangerous place to be. So finally, normally your board brings you back up in that scenario, but I had to swim to get up finally got my head above the water, took a deep breath in, and then the next wave picked me up, boff, and I'm underwater again.
Well, oh really?
No, I didn't have a board, so this one just smashed me again. So I'm smashed. I'm trying to get up. I'm starting to panic a little bit because obviously I haven't got a board, and I'm looking, and I start shouting you, don't I? I'm like, Jack, swim to me now. You got to help me. I've got no board. You'd obviously seen my board fling straight past you.
Yeah.
But it even took him a while to get to me, and anyway, he finally got to me and like pretty much saved me, didn't you?
Did I?
Well, you got to. Did I just swim past you?
I think you managed to catch a wave in, or
on my body, like a body wave. Body surf.
I think you did, because I did try to get to you, but you got to me quicker.
Yeah, well, surfing does funny things to me, mate. I don't remember, like you know when there's times where you've been battling for a wave and you'll surf it. I have to try really hard to remember what just happened like 5 seconds ago.
Yeah,
because I'm so like in the moment.
Yeah,
it's not something you remember very well.
Well, you kind of just, because everything's very similar. Your motions and it all merges into one. But
then it was after that I went and got my other board that Louis was using.
What you were actually leading on to was you caught a wave in, and I think I bottled a couple, so I was still out there. And then I suddenly realized how far out I was, and I was getting less and less power from these waves, so I felt that I was actually in a rip.
Yeah,
it was going out. I was like, okay, stay calm. What we're taught is not to go against the current, but to go across it and whatnot.
Yeah.
So, oh my god! And just as soon as I was about to panic, I saw a huge wave come. Oh my savior! And then it crashes, and obviously the force, it just brings you in, and that's one of the nicest things. It's not as nice as riding a wave, but it's up there.
It must have been after that then, where we went out together and we realised together, because I was on a bigger board then, that we were way too far out. Do you remember that? And we were out there.
I think that was the moment, and then you caught one in,
and that's what broke my board. No.
No. So you broke your board. We both came back in with your bigger board.
Yeah.
We battled out, and we were like, oh, cool, right. And then you catch one in, and
the one that I caught in, I remember I didn't stand up on it. It was like a massive wave. I realised we've got to get back to the shore before we have to like shout for the Coast Guard or so. I think Louis was even ready to. He was watching us from the beach, and he was about to go up and say, "My friends are in trouble. Like we're that far out."
Yeah.
But this huge wave came, and I remember holding on to my board, and it's like it literally smashed, and I was in the right spot to get the energy from it. And I remember being in all the white water, just going, like holding on, like, and it just fucking flew me straight in, like. Yeah, it's like. And then I was so worried about you. You were out there for ages.
Yeah, you kind of clocked it, and I was still oblivious.
I said, mate, we got to go back. I'm not doing this anymore.
I was like, oh, it's fine. I've got my reference points. It's fine. And then slowly, and
you got back.
I got back in a very similar manner. Like, just through the white water, and it's just amazing. What a feeling! Like, hey, yay, back to safety, back to shore. Counterintuitive to what you try and do in surfing, like you go back to shore.
Well, there's loads of times. It's funny that the times we bring up are the hard times where we're not actually surfing, but there's lots of times where the surf is good, and we're catching waves and we're progressing, we're building our turns and all that kind of thing. That's also like a great side of it. It's the progress.
Yeah,
it happens very quickly, and I think that's why we kind of look at the hardships. Well, I suppose the hardships make more of a better story, I think.
Yeah. Well, not that one. That one was all over the place.
Started at the end.
We did this, we did that. Oh, we must have just been fucked from the waves. I don't know. I can't remember shit.
It's part of being a beach bum.
Surfing for me is the whole experience of going away, staying away, waking up to do a particular, like surfing, like waking up, looking at the tides. It's the whole thing of just like getting out of what you're doing day to day.
Yeah, it's like setting out for an adventure.
Yeah.
It's like, right, this is our course. This is what the weather's doing. It's like almost a little expedition, because you're getting into nature. You need to kind of know what's going on. What are the forecasts? This is the route. This is like a cool spot. Let's get in with the locals, see what they know. And it's like a little investigation.
And you're in like a small group. That's what's almost the best thing about it, is there's only like 5 or 6 of us, or maximum.
Well, I mean, it's 3 to 4
regularly.
Yeah.
And it's like you're all together and you're figuring it out, and yeah, it's really fun.
You're bumbling around, making mistakes, but learning from them. And then you come across an expert, and you're like in awe, like, oh my god, this is, like we've been doing this for like 3-4 years, and we never knew that. That's amazing little nugget of information
and discovery. We're finding new spots, new places that we're going to revisit, and oh, that's amazing.
And it's almost we're like preaching this lifestyle, and we're getting other mates involved, and
there's more and more joining the group,
sort of investing. And like the other day, there was 5 or 6 of us for the first time. This was at Porthcawl, and you know, like Joe White was there with Alf and Nathan, the 3 of us, and we would just walk into the coast, and I was like, oh, I feel like I'm in Point Break or something. Are we going to big group of us, rob banks soon? Or
I can't remember that. That was a bit of a disappointing surf. That was not the Boxing Day.
It was New Year's Day.
New Year's Day was unreal. That was the best one. New Year's Day was amazing. It was big glassy waves, and then we went again before.
Oh, it was really?
Oh no, sorry. The day after Boxing Day was the really good surf. See, I get every fucking story right. The day after Boxing Day was amazing and big. We went twice over Christmas this year.
I can't even. It's all
that was amazing, glassy, perfect waves, and we were like, "Oh my god, it worked! It really worked!" And we were catching these class waves, mate.
It was just 3 of us. It was just 3 of us.
Just 3 of us, and then we went back New Year's Day, and that was a disappointment. It was like there's so many people out.
Yeah, it was very slow, wasn't it? And but it was really busy,
congested, mate. There's so many people obviously go New Year's Day because it's New Year's Day. Start the year right and all that.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna get some ice for this rum. I'm gonna
let's have some.
I'm gonna pause it for 2 minutes while I get it. Right, we're back. Hello.
Hey,
now,
quick break.
Something I want to. Oh well, let's get the drinks going as well. Do you want to open that for me, Webb?
Yeah, go on then.
Get a bit of this rum.
People like you, Jack, telling me stuff, all the stuff you're interested in, and you're doing stuff in film, and you're also studying physics, and you love surfing, and you love hanging out with your mates.
Yeah.
Where does the motivation come from? How do you keep such a healthy body and a healthy mind, and keep going and constantly want more?
Wow, you're seeing only the tip of the iceberg. I have ambition. Mainly because I've recently sort of just had clarity on what direction I want my life to go down, and you know, through teenage years and sort of being at university for the first time, you're kind of going through insecurities, because you know, puberty and teenage rebellion, and kind of figuring out your own identity and things like that. This sort of clouds your sense of purpose and your sense of how you approach life, and whether you want to take it seriously or whatever. And I just find in your 20s, for me anyway, has been a time of discovery, a time of adjustment, a time of figuring things out and making mistakes, and it's getting clearer and clearer on what I really want to devote my time to. And I see myself as a bit of a deep thinker, and I kind of don't want to just go into something willy-nilly, just think,
willy-nilly, there it is again.
If I said it...
No, I was saying it loads on the other podcast. I'm really sorry for interrupting that. You were going down a really nice path. Sorry, that's my bad. Should we just say cheers?
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers.
To Totally Uninformed.
Totally Uninformed. Yeah, I feel like there always has to be something which gives you that moment of clarity.
That's nice.
Yeah.
For me, it was living up north in the countryside, and people saying, I always look down on townies and people who lived in cities, like, what a waste of life. Like, they're just, everything's about work, just chill out, just live in the country, enjoy your work, do bits, like, help people out. Yeah, and then I moved down here, and then people see it the opposite way, and it's like, wow, we're kind of brought up immediately thinking this is the way of life.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you see more than one perspective, you're like, literally, you're like, fucking hell. Yeah. Like, nothing is right, and people get this sense of perfect in their head and stick with it, but inside they know there's more, but it's almost like they're scared to explore.
I'm glad. Yeah, that's that way of thinking's amazing, really, because just talking about becoming, say, wise, for instance, and being wise is discovering that you don't know anything. You will never know everything. And a little thing I thought of earlier was imagine life being a puzzle, but you need to realize that you're never going to finish this puzzle.
That's a mad thing, isn't it?
Yeah. So, if you get people that think that there's a complete picture, they're just going to be in almost like a trap that they're going to find all the pieces and they're going to be in that rat race. They're going to be just thinking that at the end of the tunnel, that's when I'm going to be happy. That's the thing. That is, that's what I'm searching for. That when I get to that goal, that's when it's all going to make sense. But if you learn that it is the path, not the destination, then you will sort of have that clarity. And definitely going abroad, traveling, like, it's the typical gap year. People take the piss, but it's a great way to not find yourself. Isn't total bullshit, but it's discovering that, giving yourself perspective that what you know is nothing. Discovering other people's lives, other people's backgrounds, giving it, just stretching your soul, really, and
exposure to the way other people live their lives. It just gives you, like you were saying, Jake, just takes your perspective and just kind of blows it out of the water and makes you realise, just gives you another angle on how you can live your life and how you can make it up yourself. You don't have to live by what you've always been taught or what you've always known. And
what's important to you, and maybe discovering through different people's personalities and characters, who maybe discovering yourself, because you grow up with your mates and that's great, but then you move away and you meet other people and you find other parts of yourself that you never explored, because you're stuck in your ways with your mates. You kind of, it's your comfort zone, you're having a great time,
you're in a bubble,
and you're not reaching your full potential, or you're not tapping into other things about yourself. And meeting other people can do that, and you can influence more people, and yeah, it's awesome.
People get stuck in that group herd mentality, don't they, where people enable certain habits, and then you just think, no, this is all fine, this is all good, and people stick with it, and it's almost like a fade on reality. And what you said about the puzzle was interesting, because I always go back to, and I don't know who said this originally, the fact that we're not here to find the meaning of life, we're here to experience it. And it's so hard to admit what you said, that you don't know everything, and you've just got to kind of live with the fact that you don't know everything.
And you will never know everything. Like when your grandkids will teach you things. Your great grandkids will teach you things, and it's really important. It's really important, actually, being a senior citizen, or being a figure where people look up to you, or leading by example, that you need to show them that you're willing to learn too, that nothing is absolute, that your word isn't the be all and end all, that we're all on this journey together. What I know and say isn't the letter of the law, in terms of that's how life needs to be led. Because you need to adapt. The whole culture of humans and the planet, will forever be changing. So you can't just stick to one way of living. And we could get into religion and things like that. And I don't know. I shouldn't really comment too much on it, because I don't know how. I mean, it's dangerous territory, but of how much the religion adapts and whatnot. But a lot of it is formed on things which were written thousands of years ago, and you get extremists, and that's where problems occur, and that's where you get confusions and you get conflicts, and these extremists may take things literally. And
I think that's people who want to believe they know the meaning of life, and they've got a religion to stick by, and then they can live easier. They can know that after there's an afterlife, and everything's cared for, and if they stick to this rule book, it'll all be good. And I think they're people who are too scared to not. Well, obviously not. I'm not saying anything bad about religion, but I'm saying there must be a comfort in being religious.
Definitely, and that's sometimes it's important for people to find a comfort in something, whether they've gone through real hard times, and they need something to guide them, to support them, and it's a lot of the time it is easier to have a mystical thing that you can't see to guide you, because you can almost trust that, like a mystical being, instead of
it's got a purpose.
Yeah,
for a lot of people.
Yeah,
it's comforting, isn't it? Because I grew up Christian, and then kind of in my teenage years I went away from that. But it is still in me a little bit. Sometimes when I'm going through hard times and hardship, I will tell myself I don't believe there's anything out there, but I will still kind of look to God and be like, please, like, show me direction. It's just comforting to feel like something out there can show you the way.
Totally. It's almost like a form of meditation, of just taking a moment to feel like you've got to support, whether in fact it is almost supporting yourself, but if you can't rely on anyone, and you're sort of like, or you need direction, it's to take that pause and just sort of be outside of your body for a second and think, right, and reflect, and sort of what to do from here.
It's like to have a religion to follow kind of gives you that roadmap for people that are really struggling, I suppose. That's maybe not why it was in what it's intended for, or where it came from, or what people believe.
Yeah, it's probably huge,
but it
mixture,
it
right?
is helpful for a lot of people. I've never been religious personally. I was brought up through school mainly. I was brought up to believe in the story of the Bible and all that kind of thing, Christianity.
Yeah, at my first school and middle school and stuff, you at assemblies, you sing hymns, and obviously westernized culture anyway, we celebrate Easter and Christmas as a standard, and
now I just worship the waves.
I mean, in a way, yeah. For me,
going away,
I would, yeah. I mean, I would worship nature. I think if you want to worship anything and get back to anything, nature, nature has given you life, like, quite literally. So, I haven't looked into it again, but like pagans and stuff like that, I think that's what they're into, or I don't really know, but
to worship in nature.
Well, to
the world around them.
Yeah, to worship. Obviously, this is another thing that religion was spawned from. Probably was to have meaning and find meaning and definition of the unknown. So before the development of our sciences and how we've discovered how things really work and whatnot. Just for example, how like the Greeks and the Egyptians, how the sun rose and everything. So Egyptians, it was like the god Ra would, and have many gods for different elements of nature, of how the forces and nature would work. And like the Greeks had the god Apollo riding a chariot for the sun and whatnot. So it's just to find meaning of the unknown, and it comforts people with that.
Yeah, I think there's a comfort going to religion And like you were saying, George, a lot of people go through struggles and then find religion and it really helps them. But I almost feel, so like I said, I was religious and there was a comfort in knowing, after people I know die, they go to heaven and it's all good. And then leaving that and then starting to think on the other side of it and thinking after death, they're gone.
Yeah.
To not have grew up with that and then to start to realize it and do research and think about it myself, it almost makes it worse. It almost makes it like, fucking hell, all this time
dark.
I thought, all this time in my head I thought, after death, I've got comfort in knowing that my loved ones will go to heaven and will be looked after. Yeah, a better place.
Yeah.
And then as you grow up, switching, I feel like it makes it a lot more difficult.
Yeah.
Another thing to think about, a bit more of a positive light on it, is that quite literally, we are made up of the same things as what stars were once made up of. And it's quite likely that right now we are made up of previous stars. And
like the atoms and...
That's right, yeah, the same elements. And when we biodegrade, when we're dead, obviously this is discounting what we think an actual soul is and the consciousness. What happens to our bodies is it's almost... when we decompose, those atoms will slowly go back to where they originated from. So that's a sort of
back into the system.
Could be like a heaven in a way, but very sort of literal reality one.
Yeah, I see when people put it like that, like you've just done. I see that in a positive way. I look at that, and that gives
it's quite
me
romantic, right?
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool. But then moving on to, are we really just our bodies, and what is a soul? What is consciousness? Those are pretty cool things. There, and whether we can attach our consciousness to a computer and then become
wow.
But to me, when I think of stuff like that, I think it's like copy and pasting. You're not moving to the computer. There would be a copy of you,
replica,
and that's not you, but it will act like you. It's got all your memories, all your thoughts. It's just a new version.
That
you.
is more realistic. That's probably what is likely. All this data that's our internet versions of ourselves, right? Are by the day are getting more and more accurate to how we perceive ourselves, how we express ourselves because of our habits online. So who knows, like it could get to a stage where this data analysis, this will get so sophisticated that it can use that as a thumbprint, use that as a personality,
and put it
into a computer, into a humanoid robot. And
but it wouldn't be your consciousness.
It wouldn't be.
You wouldn't be experiencing.
It would be like not a literal clone, but it would be not you. It would be a copy of you. It'll be.
You'd be able to experience it from the outside looking in.
Yeah,
you wouldn't be.
You can live
thing.
forever. I'm gonna die. Like stuff like that. But a great sci-fi movie which is set in dystopian future is Chappie, which touches on downloading your actual consciousness into a robot,
and you become the robot.
You're that robot.
Ever
like
living.
It's like I'm talking right now, but I'm in a robot body. It's like, and my body's just over there, and whatever, I'm in this robot body, and it's like, wow. And then
can you go back in Chappie? Do you ever go back to the?
I don't know. They don't cover it. I mean,
no,
they don't go that deep.
I think it's a one-way road. But,
yeah, well, I imagine it is.
Wow.
And I don't believe it will ever happen.
If that option was there, it's not that copy and paste. It's your consciousness is moved into a robot body, and you can live until you choose to push the button and go, "Nah, I'm sick of this." Bang. Do you think you'd do that, or would you rather live this natural life where it comes to an end in a natural sense?
Right now, I would be Chappie.
Would you? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd want to experience
because
death
then
to see what it's all about.
Do you think you would?
You get to that point where you're just about to die. You got the option. Do you want to carry on living and be in a robot body and carry on forever, or do you want to just pass away
Yeah.
That's a difficult question, surely. That's not one you just say, yeah, I'll stay
Well,
alive.
my right now, yes.
It would be, yeah.
Yeah, because then I could explore.
But
universe.
imagine all the technical like things that could go wrong, or like you could be living in hell, like just like around this, I don't know, in this horrible experience. It could be. It's the unknown, isn't it? It's
how test if it was like I was like the first sort of prototype and no one really knew what it would be like. That would be a bit sketchy. Yeah, I mean, you could be, it could not compute, and they'd be like, "What am I doing here?" But if it sort of worked out, I mean, you could go off into the universe and not need a spacesuit, and you could have like upgrades like wings and or like.
I've got a skeptical look on all that. That sounds amazing, but like,
I'm in sci-fi land right now. I'm just going with how far it could go, and like you could discover you could be like not Superman, but you could just explore the whole.
The more I think about it, the more I'd take the blue pill and stay alive rather than just pass away. But it'd be interesting.
And you're in control of when you want to go. I mean, that's pretty hard.
Yeah, that
must be.
Like
Control Alt Delete. That's enough for me.
That's kind of where the world's head. Not in the sense of actually passing your consciousness over, but stuff like the metaverse, where you can sit there, you can be in that, you can own digital real estate, be in it, be an entrepreneur in this digital world, and like you can give yourself upgrades. And I think the world is going to head that way very, very soon. Well, it already is. The Facebook metaverse, all this digital world. I don't think I'd want to be in that. Yeah, invest in that.
Ooh, yeah, but we're talking also about. It's 3 letters. It's like NLTs or something. NFTs. I mean,
Non-fungible token, isn't it?
That bloke. I can't get my head around that really. I mean, I've only read one sort of article about it, and it's someone creates some computer art, right? And then how is that value starts,
if I draw a drawing like that poster on the wall, so that was done FEO collaboration with Benny, and I pay for that poster, and I own it. It is a copy. Say that was an original. There's copies of that, but if that was an original, I own that, and it's worth X amount. And then with NFTs, someone could create a piece of art on the computer, and then I will purchase that, and I will have the rights to it. So obviously people can fucking right-click and save the image as a JPEG. But as far as actually owning it goes, I own it. But I don't. Yeah, it's hard for me to understand as well.
I understand it. I just can't see the benefit.
You can sell prints of the original, right?
Yeah, well, it's like art. So like
JPEG being a print.
You could buy a piece of art for £1 million, and it's worth that, and then later you can sell it on. It's like that. You just own the digit. It's only digital. You own the digital rights to it. It's the same as how I could take a picture of the Mona Lisa on my phone, or I could get it on Google Images. It doesn't mean I own it. But it's confusing. Why
is it so valuable? How is it?
Well, it's going
what's
even
the boom. Like, how is it?
It's going even further now. Like you can buy some land. You can buy clothes, and then rather than just owning the image of it, your character in games and the metaverse will be able to wear them. So it's slowly becoming your life, your investments will be all digital.
It's like RuneScape on steroids.
Yeah, man. I mean, so you have a metaverse. So you have like an avatar which spans across the whole internet almost.
Well, I'm talking about it. I don't know too much about it, but
it could turn into that, right? And and like you could start having clothes for it, and it appears and everywhere. And
so if I look in my Lloyd's Bank on my phone, I own that money. I can see it. I own it, and then it's going to become. I look on my computer. I've got this land in game. I've got this clothes in game. I own all that the same as I own real world money. Like this is worth something.
At the end of the day, is it just like a status thing?
Yeah, but that's all life is. It's just real life in a version. Why would I buy nice clothes? For status. Because I want to look good. And the same in game. I want my friends and the people who come to visit me in game to know I look good and have a high status.
It's gone to that stage, yeah. Wow. Who for me,
I
want to like experience the real world, like culture and like do cool adventurous activities.
There's too much of that we haven't quite touched upon to then
Yeah,
move into
I
an
wanna be-
artificial land. That's my opinion on it.
Like you
Yeah.
said about convenience, though. How convenient is it to go home where you've always lived, look at your computer
Yeah.
screen, and everything's experienced there?
Be someone else and like go
Yeah.
go skiing online and yeah. I mean, it's for a certain demographic that feels like they can't have those opportunities in real life, or it's just they just simply enjoy it, I guess, and that's what they know, that's what their mates do, and you have these entrepreneurs which do capitalize on all of this and see it as a way of making money quick, and what they do with that money is up to them. But at the end of the day, money is a way, you've got money's for spending, and obviously what you spend it on. Is that the cat I can hear?
Yeah, George, you've
Cat
locked the cat out, haven't you?
trying to
Get in.
Obviously you do want to invest for the future, so money is a good way of building up capital to then secure future for maybe your kids or whatever, and build an empire and that sort of thing. But try to use money for good, and obviously good is perspective is what you make of it. But if I had a lot of money, right, I've already got a plan of what my dream thing is, and that's to make an institution which promotes permaculture living and how to live self-sustained or live more sustainably, to be responsible for your impact on the planet. And
So it'd be a big plot of land that you.
it'll be a big plot of land,
and you invite people to
Do
come
you
and
know
learn how you live and.
Yeah, and obviously it'll be like a little community. But my analogy of it is, I don't want to mock my dream, but it's thinking, the X-Men, right?
Yeah.
And you got Xavier's School for Gifted Kids,
Mm.
and he's got this plot of land, and he finds these people who have these gifts, and he teaches them how to use them responsibly, and how that it is a gift, not a curse, and whatnot. But imagine an institution like that, but bringing people in who are a bit lost and want to discover how to be responsible and want to live sustainably and want to be good to the planet and everything, because it's getting worse, and they can come there and live like that, and what they've learned they can go out into the world and promote that, and that's my sort of imagining of it so far in its early form. But it's like an institution. It's like almost not like a rehab, but for also people who are like anxious, and people who like want to be mindful, and it's a whole way of living, and just a different way of seeing how to live, and away from capitalism, away from communism, away from all these different ways of society, and it's creating your own little heaven on earth almost. And yeah, it's seeing how you want to live and taking control of that. If you're not happy the way the government runs things or whatever, you can have your own little land and live self-sustained. And
You could do all that online.
Yeah. Well, I think what you're on about, right? Let me what I've got up on the screen here. So that game I was on about Sandbox. So I think this is a little map of it. Let me get it up. Yeah. So look. So this is the world in game, and people own these big blocks.
Sandbox.
Yeah. So look, the value of this map is more than $500 million. And just in 2021, in this one game, 80 million land sales. And it's like Atari. So companies are buying digital real estate, and people are paying crazy amounts of money to get near them. I think where my mouse is now, that's I don't know, it might be somewhere else on the map, to be fair, but Snoop Dogg bought a big plot of land in game, and people pay millions to live next to him in the game, like millions. It's crazy. And look, the game's just like, it's just a game. It's like it's almost like what you were saying about sustainable living and everything like that, and the way people should be looking towards living. I feel like this is almost just a cop out, to be honest. Where you're like,
it's going the
all
opposite.
complete
it's
opposite
escapism.
It's
Yeah.
status as well. It's to kind of prove how much money you've got, to show how well you're doing. It's
But I suppose it's a way of it is a way of investing like you would in property, and so you build capital instead of letting it rely on almost nothing interest rates with banks and whatnot. But to spend a lot of time, I mean, it could just consume you, and you're just being consumed with something that isn't real. I mean,
there must be limits.
If you're using it as like a side thing to invest and build money up, fair enough. But if it's kids just spending their free time being consumed by that,
trying to achieve a goal within that realm of digital
I know it
landscape, or
Have you ever been consumed by something and almost addicted to something that's not real?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Like growing up, you know, when you're younger, you've got your Game Boy or whatever, or you got your PS4, PlayStation 2 it was back then, or Xbox, and you just, for me, I'd get a new console game for Christmas, and I'd play it on the Boxing Day, and it'd be done by the 27th of December. And that'd be it. And
you do have a lot of motivation in that time as well when you're playing. You're fully invested.
Yeah,
you wake up, you live and breathe that game.
Yeah, and that's how those games are designed. But it's great because it's
fine until you get a game that does never end.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's it, isn't it? We're going towards the point where these games never end.
Yeah.
You have constant
no
progression.
Complete stage.
That addiction you're talking about, just
it's
for a
dopamine,
3-day period, that dopamine hit of a 3-day period where you're completely in the game, and then you finish it and you think, oh, that's over. Imagine that, but it's always there. It never finishes.
Since you asked that question, I kind of understand why that kind of thing exists a lot more, because of the motivation I have to kind of complete certain games at certain periods of my life. I can see how that would translate to someone who was exposed to it at a younger age, and they constantly trying to get that status on the game and to complete the game. If the game doesn't ever complete, then I can see how someone could get caught up in that forever.
Yeah, I mean, we've experienced that in in most recent history.
Yeah, we went through a spell of RuneScape.
Did you?
Did you ever play RuneScape?
No. I used to watch my cousin James and my brother Dan play it a bit, but I never got into it.
Well, it's the addictive thing is if you're really into open world games and just progressing, because you've got all these different skills, and you can just level up, and it's just cool because you can do all these different things like fish, mine, and
trade
and woodcut and all the, and you can go around this whole land, and it's that adventurer in you, and it's also that want to progress and develop. And I just discovered, well, why don't I treat real life like that? If with the same motivation, and that leads back into what you asked earlier to lead on, where all these different things, what's my motivation? And
it came from RuneScape.
Well, the realization of that it was always there, but I was just channeling it through something that wasn't real, that wasn't really helping my life.
That game almost laid it out for you. Like, you're building skills, you've got your crafting, you've got all those different skills involved. You've kind of taken those and you've related them to your real life
using
scenario.
it as an analogy and using it as a metaphor, it did make sense to think of goals like that, to split them up and think, oh, it'd be really cool to do all this and
achieve that.
Yeah, and for me, growing up, it's just always reaching your potential and tapping into that. It's in your control. You're the only one stopping yourself tapping into your potential and growing from it. And thinking, wow, I'm sort of just sitting here. Reality is, I'm spending like all these days doing this stuff and think, oh, that's what I've done in the game. It's amazing. In reality, I've just been sat in the same spot.
It doesn't take long to realise. I think there was a week. It was about a week or 2 weeks for me where you're like, let's do this. And I was doing it with you. And it was during lockdown, obviously. So there's not much else to do. And got caught up in this. And we were on FaceTime or just on the phone the whole time, talking and going through quests. And it sounds it sounds ridiculous. But
it was very enjoyable.
It was enjoyable period of like
at the time, because when you don't have anything else to do.
Yeah.
Well,
you had plenty of other things to do.
downtime,
But yeah, we got to I definitely got to a point, and I'm sure you did, where you realised,
I lasted
like
a
you
bit
just
longer,
said,
but
you did. You're like, you coming on? I'm like, nah, I'm gonna go build a shed outside. I need to do something real.
yeah, and I'm like, well, I'm building my house, man. Like, come help. We're building
that?
my construction level.
Oh,
it's in Lumbridge. Come on,
Yeah.
come online.
yeah.
And then that sort of dawned on me, like, oh, okay, maybe I should continue learning to
It's
play
not
guitar and
progress.
shit like that.
It's not progress, but you can take things from that. You can.
Yeah, I
If
mean
you- like you
that's
said-
what I said. But your 20s, it's sort of tripping over to learn to walk again and stuff like that. And yeah, it sometimes is important to learn for yourself. Like your parents can always drill into you. This is the right way to go about things. But then you take the long route and you kind of do the opposite thing and you learn why they told you it in the first place. But in a way, it's almost good to do that because then you've at least experienced it. And obviously, a lot of people, they do that route, but it doesn't work out, and it's actually sort of life changing, which is really unfortunate. That's obviously why parents instill it in the first place.
A lot of the people that are on that what did you call it?
Sandbox.
Yeah, at a grassroots level, a lot of those people will be doing it for the same reasons me and Jack were. Like it's just like quick fixes, or we can literally sit here and we can get that gain. And it's not. And what's attractive about it is you progress a lot quicker than you do in life.
Sense of achievement, isn't it?
Yeah. So you're on this game and you're progressing. There's so much dopamine coming in because that's what the game's designed to do. Is just to feed those little urges you've got in your brain.
Yeah.
And yeah.
But I worry for the next generation, the generation after us. So we're saying, yeah, our parents were telling us, no, you can't be playing games all day. You can't be doing this and that. But for us, where it's kind of more of the norm, how are people our age going to come across to their kids? They're just it's going to be the norm to play games, and then it's not going to be taught away from them. And I think we will just go towards this virtual world, and it'll just.
I've got a lot of opinions on what you just said there.
Yeah. Well, it's about how you approach parenthood, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I've got clear.
You've got some
clear,
strong opinions.
Yeah, I've got clear ideas, but obviously, I haven't got the partner, and obviously they'll have their own opinions, but. I could go very extreme, but like I said, it would be more of a stable environment where I would create my own sort of form of society, almost like this permaculture institute, or it would start off as just my own family as a permaculture, or depending what my situation is, it might actually turn into.
Can we describe what permaculture is?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, permaculture.
I know what it is. I'm talking to you a lot.
But perma is permanent, and it's permanent culture, and it's essentially, I haven't studied it in its depth yet, but how I understand it is it's self-sustained living. It's like that program, if you ever watched it, it's an old program called The Good Life, and it's about a guy who is a successful businessman, and he's like sees the sort of the evil behind it, and it's sort of very selfish and it's very money driven. He's like, oh, I'm quitting this, and he sort of goes back home with his wife and says, look, let's just live off the land. Let's just buy a goat and sort of milk it and whatever, and get some chickens, and
it's the dream,
and it's just sort of getting by off your own back, and sort of trading things you own, and and trading favors and other things like that. I'm not talking to never earn money again. I think it's important to still not just be in your cave and not deal with the outside world. Not at all. I want to influence the outside world, lead by example. I don't want to tell my kids, this is the way to live. I want you to follow in my footsteps. I want to teach them how to think for themselves, and think for themselves, and teach them how they want to live and whatever. And it's up to them how they approach the world. But yeah, this institution will be teaching people these things, and they'll be involved in this community, and they'll have influence on the world, and hopefully it will spread. But I don't want it to turn into something bad and something controlling. I'd want it as like a form of education, a form of
the permaculture dictator, Jack Neville.
I mean,
this is how we live.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking.
It's just a way of educating people of understanding why I think it's very important, why many people, because these communities already exist. You know, you've got places in British Columbia and Canada, and you've got Costa Rica as well. There's two main places I'm aware of. There'll be many more, because these places actually do courses, so people can travel over and do like a 2-week course, and you learn about farming, you learn about what permaculture is and whatnot, and it's something to teach people that it's in their control how they want to live, you know, and they don't have to earn a big salary. They don't settle for a job they don't like, just to have the quality of life they want. They can sort of discover the quality of life they want and what that means, and find their own path. They don't have to fall into the generic thing or what
surely
the
within
main society
within
wants.
that society that there will naturally become a status, that there'll be people that become, I'm not sure, like I'm not very big on, like I don't know much about like mass psychology, but I imagine that within that permaculture group that you talk of, as it gets bigger, there will have to be some sort of hierarchy or
so
some sort of status.
I've sort of thought about this. I've thought about like a council approach. So have a certain, but whether it be the founders or whether it be elected people or whether it be just the elders or whatever, or the people that feel more responsible. So just a table of people to make the decisions, to have a democracy.
Yeah.
Not to have a dictatorship, not to have, but you know, with any large community, you need people to make the decisions overall, because I mean, that's how you have people get along almost. Because if you have not prison rules, but if you have anything, not prison rules, but anything goes, like it's almost,
you've got to have some sort of structure.
You'll have
Eventually,
some sort of structure.
Early on, the early days will be the best days, surely. Like that's when everything's kind of being figured out and everyone's excited about this new way of life.
But it'll be a constant flow. It won't be right. We finally found the structure that works, and that's how it's always going to be. Or no, it will always be adapting. It'll always be learning how can this work best, because that's the whole, for me, the whole point going into this is you don't want it to turn into the very thing you were against. You kind of want to kind of keep to that. Obviously it'll have its rocky periods and stuff, but you'd need to have like a core principle of why you started it initially, and never sort of lose sight of that.
Back to your original question, I think the way that I'm going to approach, obviously that wasn't your question, but like if I was to have kids, I just want to expose them to as many things as I possibly could. I haven't got the dream that Jack's got. You've obviously got a good idea on, as to how you want to. Well, that's like a goal for you, isn't it? It's like a dream.
Oh no, it's not even a dream anymore, because for me,
you're started on the.
Yeah, it's very realistic.
Yeah,
I know it's just a matter of time now, to be honest.
Have you started on that journey?
Yeah, slowly but surely, in terms of knowing, because I feel that initially permaculture, you need experts in certain things. So I want to be an expert in physics, in a field of physics. So I want to be on that journey, and I'm also learning to sort of be a jack of all trades. That's why the whole transport thing and being a prop man in this in the TV industry, you're almost like a multi-skilled person, like a DIY sort of guy, and learning how to build structures, learning carpentry, electronics, plumbing, that sort of thing's quite important to me. And then to build capital to invest in land and whatnot, I want to go into property. I've already sort of got into webinars to sort of learn how to get into that. It's slow moving ball, but I'm just gonna have patience about it. So I don't have to do it from 30 or anything like that. It'll happen when it happens. It's step by step. And like I said,
it'll be passed down to obviously the younger generation that you.
Yeah, exactly. So I could be like late 50s, 60 when it's happening. But I've sort of that's another thing, like making sure I connect with people who could follow me on this journey to build that team. So when I eventually do it, they have it, and it will just continue. And I'd want to inspire people. And like I said, another thing that's helped me on this journey is permaculture courses, and to actually learn in depth what's already going on out there, and seeing examples of that. So yeah, it's just, for me, it's quite an obvious goal. Well, it's not obvious, but it's very realistic now. It's not just like a dream that I'm gonna. Did you study of Mice and Men at school?
I did.
John Steinbeck?
No.
Well, so the whole thing is that
living off the fallow land.
Living off the fallow land. Their dream is to have a farm, isn't it? And with the rabbits and all that sort of thing. And that's
the rabbits.
And it's all about the American dream that John Steinbeck's trying to get to. And in a way, it's my American dream, but it's not really a dream anymore, because I feel like I am in control of the steps on that path.
And it's attainable.
Exactly.
Obviously, if there's those communities out there, you plan on building your own, then why not? Obviously, you need to get into.
Yeah,
you need to figure out. Obviously,
it could be being involved. The land and it could be being involved in one for however long, and then and then see where it goes. I mean, it's a fluid future, man. I'm not like setting in anything in stone. It's
except
I've
for
got
the fact
clear
that
intentions.
Be close to the sea. Or is that
maybe
you're not bothered?
Well, I don't set anything in stone, because if I commit to that, then I'm
maybe making a sacrifice elsewhere.
Yeah, so it's important for me not to make calls like that too early on. Yeah. So, but I mean, by the sea would be amazing. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, right now, every time I think about moving away, like, where's the surf though? Like when I'm moving to a place, where's the surf?
That is literally all I think about when it comes to like those kind of goals into the future. If I could get to a point where I could be self-sufficient or sustainable within what I do and what I want to do, then if it could be close to the sea, then that's the ultimate dream.
Yeah.
What about you, Jake? In regards to bringing up kids and
I've got no idea.
New generation. And
I've got no idea.
You're still a kid, aren't you?
I'm still a kid. Yeah.
Young pup,
21.
Yeah. Yeah, plenty of time, and well, yeah.
So are we, really.
Yeah.
At heart.
Oh, for me.
At heart, yeah. You old fuck. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, I'm not ready to be I'm far from ready. Well, I don't feel ready, because I want to have a lot more sort of knowledge, or have experienced a lot more to pass on to my kids. But obviously I want to have new experiences when they're young too, and obviously on my journey, that I'll be a part of their early journey too.
That's a conflict in my head at the minute, is obviously I want to have kids and I want to bring kids up, but do I wait? Obviously, initially my initial thought is I want to wait and enjoy my youth as it is. But then, do I want to have kids now so that I can enjoy their youth with still having a bit of my youth as a part of it? Like, it's a thing that until this year, I've always thought, no, I want to wait. But then, more and more I'm thinking, do I want to be younger whilst I have kids? Do I want to see them at a certain age? Do I want to experience their life?
I think
more, and
either way it will work, because you just adapt to it. Either way. Obviously it doesn't make it easy making a decision or whatever, but it's just, I don't think there's any pressure there, like, or any urgency,
except for the pressure coming from the person I live with.
My point is, either way it'll be cool. Either way,
yeah,
I'm sure you'll bring them up how you want to bring them up, and it'll be cool.
Yeah, you'll adapt you'll adapt to the scenario, won't you?
Yeah, my main thing I think of it is the more freedom I have when I have kids, the the better I will be as a parent. Like, if I'm tied down to whatever it is, doesn't matter who you are, like whether you're tied down to a certain thing, you have to be there at a certain time. You have to be away at that time. The more of those, less freedom you have, the less control you have over that period of your life when
Totally.
you're bringing new people into the world that you
you have less time to spend with them, or less time to sort of have that.
So the more freedom,
energy,
the better. That's why your goal is pretty cool, because obviously if you get yourself in that position,
it'll be all entangled. Like my day to day will be part of bringing them up, almost like homeschooling them, in a sense. That'll be my ideal.
Homeschooling around other kids that are also being homeschooled, or homeschooled?
It could be, honestly, it could be. Yeah, I mean,
they're just influenced by their own siblings.
I mean, I think it's important to be surrounded by many people. I mean, I think if it gets this scenario, I'd be open to it. To have, if it's a family or a couple I trust enough, and they're open to it too, we could just share a plot of land. We can share a property, and it will just be like a community, and it'll just be open. And if you get along, and it'll just. And you'll be, you don't have to go 9 to 5 and then come back and you're too tired to sort of interact and whatever. Your 9 to 5 is all entangled. It's almost probably like how it is working on owning a farm. It's probably quite similar.
My dream that I shared with a good mate of mine, you both know Louis, when we were 16, maybe even younger, 15 on to the age of like 18, we always used to dream of just having a plot of land that me and Louis, initially it was like a plot of land that we could have a caravan on, that we'd ride quad bikes around. But it's like the idea of having your own space to create, to not give a fuck about what's going on around you in the towns and what's going on like nationally, internationally. You've got your own plot of land and you're literally creating your own kind of way to live.
Society, mate.
That was away from society. But at the time, it was more like we can just have fun and not care what anyone else thinks.
It's your own way of living. How you want to create your own heaven on earth. It's like that sort of idea. And that's what permaculture, what my view it is, could unlock.
Well, mine and Louis' view on it at that age would have been very unsustainable.
No, but
we'd have just been like getting drunk every night, making a fire, and driving quad bikes around. But like, permaculture is like that on steroids. It's got its own ecosystem.
Well, it's like an adult view of it. It's an adult view of it, because when you're younger, when you're a kid, your views, your values, they will be influenced, but your deep values probably stay the same. Or your way of how you observe the world and how you kind of want to live might sort of stay the same if you don't get all entangled in your vices when you're an adult.
Yeah. Which it is easy to fall into.
It's easy to do, and it's easy to kind of be influenced and kind of be on the rat race, or just kind of get on a different path and just get your blinkers on and stick to it. But if you have that time of clarity and reflection and kind of deep thinking, you can kind of think, oh, that's what I always wanted to do. Like one of my ambitions when I was a teenager was being like Jack Dawson from Titanic and just traveling the world, place to place, being like a nomad. How it is now? How popular is that now? It's mad, and that's kind of, it wasn't really talked about when I was like 11, and that's kind of what I wanted to do, just sketch prostitutes. And
was she a prostitute?
No, but
that's
a bit in the movie where he was in France, and but that's how I wanted to live, and I went through school not obviously working hard at the subjects I enjoyed, but never really had ambitions or think, do well at this subject and that subject, and this is my sort of 5-year plan of get to uni, get to that job, that career, because that's what I want to be. I can't wait to just travel the world, going job to job, country to country. And when I was 20, it sort of changed. I got mixed up with girls and like not really knowing what to do, and then having to just work for the sake of earning money. And then it's gone full circle of of just thinking, yeah, I want to travel. Yeah, because actually traveling, you're like, wow, this is really, really calling to me. This is what I want to do, and
You
why
start to realize things that. Well, we've spoke about this just now, but yeah,
realize for yourself, and also with the whole environmental thing. I remember at a very early age, like at 9 or something, an Inconvenient Truth came out with Al Gore, the vice president. Was he ran for presidency at the same time as Bush, and Bush got it. But he did the whole thing of enlightening people of how fossil fuels are influencing our ozone layer and the greenhouse gases and whatnot. And that was in the 90s, and people sort of didn't really take it seriously and or didn't want to, and just cracked on. And that, like, as an 8-year-old, I was like, wow, this is really important. And I remember seeing like a table of the fossil fuels. So you've got natural gas, coal, and what's the other one? Oil. Sorry, yeah, oil. Mine went blank. And it gave timescale of where all these fossil fuels, which we rely on for energy, are running out, and it was like 30 years, 50 years. I was like, oh my god,
that's mad.
That's all within my lifetime.
We were year 10, or well, I was a year younger than you, but I reckon year 9 or 10 when I saw that.
Really, yeah. Seeing those figures and think that's in my lifetime. I'm going to be like 40 when
everything you know that's constantly buzzing around you will just come to a grounding halt.
Run like how's
at that point, and it's within your lifetime.
And you think that's not right. Like, that's not, obviously an 8-year-old doesn't really know sustainable, but they think that's not gonna last. Like, something else needs to happen.
And obviously the people that you look up to, like your parents, weren't exposed to that information at the age you were exposed to it.
No, I mean, you had advocates through the 20th century, like like the late Prince Philip, like he and Prince Charles, they always discussed their passion about the environment and everything, but it was always just a side headline. And I obviously didn't live through those years, but that's how my view of it is, because we wouldn't be in that position if it was taken seriously. And we invested in the development of electric cars and stuff like that earlier on. And yeah, and it's just mad to think that at that age I was thinking all that, and then your teenage years happen where you're insecure, you think about girls and music and all that sort of stuff, and finding your identity, and then your 20s come along, and if you have that moment of pause, that moment of clarity, you're able to tap back in, like I said earlier, tap back into that innocence and value that you had as a kid. And if you're able to do that, you can then, as an adult, have influence, because now you're an adult, you can influence the world and shape it in the way you kind of see fit. And that's kind of what I want to do.
Yeah, I think that was an important point, what you said. It's just, the fact is, it's the inconvenient truth. People don't want to hear it. People don't want to think about it.
Yeah.
They want convenience. They want to go about their life easily. They want to think that the people running the country, wherever they may be, is working fine and everything's looked after. They don't want to. That truth just isn't. It just makes things inconvenient.
Yeah, and especially for people that it's not immediately affected by. Like, so all the crazy and extreme weather that always sort of goes on in Eastern Asia, and a lot in America actually. And for a lot of people, they're like, I can just keep living how I'm living, and I'm not really seeing any of the consequences. Not right away anyway. It's everyone who isn't really abusing fossil fuels as much, like the Southern Hemisphere, like the little islands and everything, that these water level rising because of the average temperature, and they're going to be the first ones to be affected by it. And people in Eastern Asia, they always experience huge variance in extreme weather, and it's getting worse and worse. And it's just easy for people just who aren't experiencing it, just think, I can just live happily how I'm living. And yeah, and it's like, they need to deal with it, whatever.
But yeah, everyone has busy lives and everything, and it's it is inconvenient. Yeah, it is massively inconvenient, but it is our responsibility as the most intelligent species, I suppose, to make a change.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Well, as we talk about how horrible the world is, I think I might bring it to a conclusion.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Jack, for coming on.
Thank you for having me, Jake.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed it.
George, thanks for coming on again. All right.
Appreciate it, mate.
Yep, another podcast out the way. Thanks everyone for listening.
Out of the way. Good riddance.
Yeah.
Thank God for.
All right.
The
Goodbye,
Totally
everyone.
Uninformed.
Thank you.